Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad you have joined us again this week. And as you can see, we are continuing our study through chapter 2, verses 19 through 24 of the book of Philippians. And this week we are wrapping up the paragraph by looking at verses 22, 23, and 24. But I wanted to, again, as always, I wanted to translate each of these three verses, and as I walk through them, then I also want to provide a few things that you can take note of as we refer to the grammar, the syntax, and other portions of the text. So it translates as, but you know his proven character because he served with me in the gospel ministry as a son with his father. Therefore, I hope to send him immediately as soon as I see how things go with me. And I trust in the Lord that I also will come quickly. So as you look at a couple of things here, just how these three verses fit together, you have a de here, which basically that signals a new development. A new development again in the discourse, probably again changing from those who do not seek the things of Christ. That was in verse 21 to those who do seek the things of Christ, namely Timothy here in verse 22. So you have gnoskete, okay, that is a present active indicative verb of gnosko, second person plural. Then you have a hati here, which is a hati of cause, okay, indicates cause, the reason that you know, because, and then what did he do? He served. So if we come down here to our verb, you have do lusen, third person singular, aorist active indicative of douluo. Okay, and that's the idea of Timothy serving. How did he serve? Well, he served as, and here's our host, as a child with his father. That's this phrase. You also have the phrase sun emoi, which is how I translated that as with me. That's Timothy serving with Paul. Okay. Then we have in verse 23, you have the teuton. Okay, you have a teuton here, which is a demonstrative pronoun. It's referring back to Timothy. It would be the anaphoric use, again, referencing back. It's the direct object of the pempsi, okay, which is your infinitive, and I'll go ahead and make note of that. That is an aorist active infinitive of pempo. How is that functioning? Again, we have our verb here, elpizo, so that's our verb. And when Paul says, I hope, you need to complement that verb. You need to come alongside that verb and you need to complete its thought. So I hope to do what? Well, I hope to send. And who is it that I hope to send? This one, which is Timothy, referencing again back to Timothy from earlier verses. Then you have the un. Let me circle the un here. All right. After you speak the way that you do, Paul in verse 22, therefore, now he's signaling a conclusion or drawing a conclusion, if you will, from what was preceding. So therefore, and then he proceeds to give us information about Timothy, that is, he hopes to send him. Then you have in verse 24, you have another de, and that de also signals a new development, and that new development is really a transition from Timothy, thoughts about Timothy in 23 and 24, to now thoughts about Paul. So the de is an important conjunction that helps us see the development, and that development can be a change in character, it can be a change in tense form, can be a change in topic, if you will. So here I think we have a change in character. Then you have the pepoitha. The pepoitha, that is a first person, singular, perfect active indicative verb of peitho. Now, this perfect indicative here, what that does is that indicates a stative aspect. So it's conveying Paul's attitude. And his attitude, or you could say his state of confidence or trust in the Lord to bring him back. And then, of course, here is in the Lord. So the perfect tense form helps us see the state of affairs, helps us see where Paul is as far as a state of confidence or trust, and that is that he hopes to come back. All right, he hopes to come back to them quickly. Again, trust this has been helpful. Again, we went through a lot here, but that'll wrap up this paragraph, verses 19 through 24. So next week, as is typical, we're going to go ahead and diagram verses 19 through 24 and see how that might lay out, and then also see how we might be able to construct some kind of a message or sermon to then teach or preach. Have a great week.